My name is Andy Bromberg. I'm the CEO and co-founder of CoinList, which is a platform for the best digital asset companies to manage their token sales. And we're also where investors find deals in the space. And I wanted to first go through a look at where the ICO market has been. As you can see here, January 1st, 2016, great visualization from elementus.io. And on January 1st, 2016, only 45 million had been raised. But by the time we got to 2017, January 1st, it was 318 million. And what we started to see at this point was a maturation in the space. That we were beginning to see sales think critically about how to structure their sale from a legal perspective, how to structure it from a token economic perspective, from a sale economic perspective. And the industry was just starting to grow as we moved into early 2017, which was just 15 months ago. But then here it is, just 10 months later, November of 2017, $6.4 billion raised by token sales all across the world, as you can see by the geographic distribution there, as well as all sorts of projects. And this was really the moment, as we all know, being in this industry, that things started to explode. And this was the moment when regulators started to think about the space. What we have to recognize here is that the industry will change. It has changed massively in the past year and a half since that first slide came up. But we're still at the very beginning. And if you thought about venture capital in the 1940s when it was starting versus venture capital today, it was tremendously different. And we are in for a time of real turbulence and real change moving forward. And we need to start to think critically about that. I'm going to go through a few segments here of different ways things will change as we move into 2018 and beyond. First up, we'll talk a little bit about how these things are structured and what they look like. We'll talk about regulation. And then we'll talk about the types of investors that you find in token sales and the types of investors that are moving in. All three of these areas are changing as we move into 2018, from 2017, and even from 2016 in the earliest ICOs. So first up, we'll talk about structure. And when I think about structure, I think about really two things. One is the legal structure of these sales. And this has changed tremendously over the past year. It will continue to shift. And we're seeing increased guidance from regulatory agencies even today about how we should structure our sales legally. And then secondarily, how you structure the sale from a logistical perspective and what that looks like. So first up, talking about the regulatory side of that, we saw most sales that were really large in 2017 raised through SAFT, Simple Agreements for Future Tokens, which were developed by Protocol Labs and Cooley. Certainly there's been some questions about these in the past few months. We'll continue to evaluate them from a legal perspective. Regulators are looking at them really seriously. But at the very least, we're understanding that these sales need to be sales of securities for the time being. And then second, we're thinking about the structure of these sales from a logistical perspective. We think about airdrops as a really big trend for 2018, that perhaps we're going to separate out the distribution of tokens from fundraising for the company that's creating them. And perhaps airdrops will distribute tokens to early users, while we'll fundraise for bigger investors instead of coupling those together in a more traditional ICO. Second up, regulation and how regulation is going to shift. The SEC, the CFTC, FinCEN, all pretty quiet through 2017. The SEC just at the end of the year started to think about the space a little bit. And now we're going to see increased scrutiny here and increased movements as they begin to understand the space. They took their time getting there, and now they're understanding it and moving in and taking action. First up, we've heard this over and over again. You've probably heard it all day today. SEC Chairman Jay Clayton has said he hasn't seen an ICO that's not a security. And if you're selling tokens, or you're selling SAFs, or you're selling any structure, you probably have to consider it a security, comply with relevant securities law. And that's something that a lot of people didn't do in the earliest days of the ICO, but moving forward, unless things change, we're going to have to see that. I would just say on this, on the regulation, be thoughtful. Talk to your lawyers, find good lawyers, get multiple sources of counsel, and go back and forth between them. It's an uncertain time, and it's better to stay safe than be sorry in the long run. And so being thoughtful about the regulatory structure here, making sure you're taking the high road as opposed to the quick path to the fastest money is certainly the way to go here. Last up, investors. The type of investor we've seen has changed massively in the past year and a half. In the earliest days, when it was only $45 million raised in early 2016, it was mostly people that had made money in crypto, that had Bitcoin or Ethereum holdings, I guess not Ethereum at that point, but Bitcoin holdings, and were interested in the space, investing in it. And we're seeing that move more and more to institutional investors now. First of all, big money. At CoinList, we're seeing a lot of big money move onto the platform. We've had university endowments invest. We've had hedge funds. We've had venture funds. We've had family offices invest in the platform. And that movement towards institutional capital will continue. People cutting checks that are millions of dollars into these sales. And that's going to push forward. Right now, only 10% of money in crypto is professionally managed. And that's going to increase a lot in the next few months. And then also small money. Who the small money is has changed. It's gone from just people that came from crypto to technologists, to Main Street, all sorts of people. And you have to serve those folks too, whether it's through a platform like CoinList for accredited investors, a platform like Republic for unaccredited investors. Understanding how you can serve every investor, whether they're big or small, is crucial for your community. At the end of the day, change is the only constant. We need to know that whether it's the regulatory side, the structuring side, or otherwise, things will change. Thank you.